and also of this Cyber Security Council that Sophie mentioned. And this council is such a high-level thing that I should add that I'm not speaking on behalf of this council, but it's a strictly personal opinion here. If you look at financial crime in the Netherlands, these figures are from the national banks. And if you see here that the physical crime is going this way and the electronic crime is going this way, these are clear figures. I don't have them over 2012 yet, but I guess the trend is the same. So in line with what the previous speaker said, I mean, the bad guys are really going digital. And you're really on the wrong track if you're still planning a career in physical crime, at least in the financial area. But also warfare is going digital. This is a cartoon I like very much from Chapat, from the Herald Tribune. I think it speaks for itself. A bit more seriously, these are broad lines. If you look at World War I, it was a chemist's war. World War II was basically dominated by physics. I think World War III, if any, it will be dominated by computer scientists. And of course, there's a bit of speculation in this, but I think the main picture is here is clear, and I think something we can all agree on. So what are current activities? You see a lot of digital espionage. This is the main activity that's currently going on. Digitally, it's so much easier and so much harder to trace than physical espionage, which is also much slower. You have to train someone and get someone in position in another countries. This may take decades, whereas digitally it can be done in a matter of hours or maybe days to get access and to get the data you want. This is happening at economic, military, but also political levels. It's a serious issue in the Western world, and all the people I talk to who are in the know say the main driving force in this comes from China. I think there's consensus on this. There are other countries also active on this. And for China, it's mostly economic. They're really going into specific companies that they see of high target value, and zip all the files they can find and download them by the gigabyte. It seems as if hackers in China are really paid by the gigabyte for what they're doing. It's a non-political, politically correct thing to name countries, but I'm not a politician, so I can do so. The famous case also here in Brussels, of course, the Mr. Van Rompuy, whose email server was hacked this summer. And I even heard that the information from this server, which was of high value at the time in the middle of the financial crisis, was subsequently used to speculate on the markets and to make a lot of money. But also dissidents are regular targets. The Ghostnet case, I think it's from 2009, is a famous one, where the Dalai Lama and various other political groups were targeted. So this is really a serious issue, which threatens the position of the West. I don't want to antagonize, but this is a fact, this is what's happening. And we'll have to deal with it in some way or another. Also, what some people see or claim that they see is that there's building up of strategic positions inside the electronic infrastructure of other countries, and especially the electricity infrastructure is often named as a target, because if you can disable the electricity in an opponent's country, that gives you a strategic advantage. And then when you look at warfare and actual clear, outright aggressive deployment, there are only a few cases. I've listed a few here. Of course, the West is also active in this area with the Stuxnet affair. It's not a one-sided thing. I don't want to give you this image. So several parties are active in this. Let me make some observations toward my conclusion and look at cybersecurity from the privacy perspective and see what the interactions are there. And if there are some good things or bad things from the perspective of privacy. I would say also what's happening here, what we're seeing today is that the increased attention for software vulnerabilities is in general a good thing for data protection and for privacy. In the Netherlands, there is now a responsible disclosure measure published, which certainly, well, not encourages, but gives hackers a framework, and also academic researchers like ourselves, a framework in which we can more easily publish our results. And my experience is that the best way to improve the infrastructure is still by naming and shaming, by really making it public what the vulnerabilities are, and then things improve. What is not so good for privacy is the new invasive, often aggressive legal powers which are being introduced. The Netherlands has a debate going on whether the police force should get the authority to hack computers, which is rather far-reaching. I'm not aware of the precise status of this discussion in the European context. But apart from that, there's increased pressure to introduce more monitoring, filtering, etc., on a very large scale. What I think is an interesting observation to make, and here I want to slowly move to a conclusion, is that I see a subtle change in the debate happening. Over the past 10 years, we've been confronted mostly with terrorism as the main threat to our society. And the policymakers and the politicians have been basically telling citizens, surrender your data. Give us your data and we'll make you more safe and secure. Now this debate is changing a bit, because what you see now, and my predecessor also did that he was warning people not to shout out things on Facebook or wherever. The message now suddenly becomes, people, be more careful. So citizens suddenly get the message, and this is happening in a slow, there's a slow change in this, that people are told to be more careful with their data, which is interesting. It's often the same people who are doing this, who used to be fighters of terrorism and are now suddenly in the cybersecurity area, but they're changing this language. And I think this gives opportunities from a privacy perspective. What's interesting in this debate is that suddenly people are also, politicians, policymakers, are realizing that all these privacy-sensitive databases that have been built over the years are national assets, which need protection in the light of all the nasty things I've been telling you about earlier. So I would like to end with a provocative statement to stimulate the discussion a bit, and that is, in the current hype, you might say, on cybersecurity, there are ample opportunities for better privacy protection. Just seize the moment, find the right things to say in the debate, and I think privacy protection can be improved in this setting. And I don't want to make this an advertisement, but for instance, at the University of Nijmegen, we're doing a larger project on attribute-based authentication, which is a very flexible form of authentication where you don't have to tell who you are, but tell some properties of yourself, and then the transaction can go through. For instance, if you buy liquor, you only have to show that you're over 18 and not who you are. Now, this gives a very flexible mechanism which can improve the ICT infrastructure, but also in a very privacy-friendly way. And it protects you against identity fraud. So I think technology is important, but precisely to protect people. And I think in this line, the President and I can agree on this. Thank you very much.